Today on Compound Living, we are in the scenic behind the greenhouse area, and we are going to show you how to make a worm bin that sits in the dirt and is full of worms. This is the finished product. As you can see, is a trash can that is buried in the dirt, and if you open it up, there's all kinds of nasty ass food in there. But if you dig, it smells. It doesn't smell too bad, actually. Dig in it, you can see it's full of worms. And the worms are eating the food. All your kitchen scraps. Look at them all. And they make this real nice dirt. And their poops. Got nice wormy worm poop. It's good for your garden and good for your house plants, kind of. Be careful with it. Like the worms, like, put me back with my family. But the problem is, I keep adding food to this one, and then I have to dig for the dirt, so I never use the dirt. So I'm going to build a second bin right there. So, next. Take this worm bin out of an old trash can. This is our leaky old trash can with a broken bottom, which will be perfect. If you don't have an old trash can, what I've noticed when I lived in the city is people would just leave them out every week. Like on Monday or Tuesday, you'll see in the morning people leave their old trash cans out. So you can just grab one of those, or if you want to be basic, you can go to the store and buy one. Really don't steal your neighbor's trash can. And it's handy to have a drill, because we're going to put a butt ton of 1/2-inch holes all over this. So through the magic of time lapse, I'm going to put some holes in it and show you what that looks like. So there you have it. Got a trash can full of holes. I don't think it's important how many holes. Those happen to be 1/2-inch holes. It's good to space them evenly because worms crave symmetry. Also, be careful with how high up you go, because you don't want any holes to be above the dirt line, because those will just be yellow jacket and mouse portholes. I used this bit on the drill. Probably not ideal. If you use a bit like this, be careful it doesn't torque out of your hand. This is a shitty drill, so it doesn't have that much torque, so it's fine. Anyway, next step is to bury this thing. To use a fancy word, funnest part of the worm bin project, got to dig a giant asshole so that you can bury the trash can up into the first or the last few inches of it. So I'm going to dig that hole now. I'm not going to make you watch. On the old hole, I wanted to remember to point out, though, this is a somewhat shady spot back here, though it doesn't look it now. You don't want to cook your worms. So I put it back here behind the greenhouse where it gets shade most of the day. More hole digging. Dirt. See, I have a sizable amount of leftover dirt. I'm just going to fill in the imperfections so the dirt's nice and tight. And any holes that I drilled a little bit too high, I'm going to make sure that I've mound a lot of dirt up around the outside of them so they don't become entrances for our friends, the yellow jackets. Here I go. It is all buried. Be careful as you bury it. Don't go stomping around the edge too much, or you'll deform the rim so that the lid doesn't fit on properly. And that's, again, something you don't want. You can see it's not particularly attractive. So try to tuck it in an out-of-the-way place, a shitty place, somewhere where nobody's going to accidentally step into it, and then you'll have a baby Jessica situation on your hands. It's no good. So where do you get the worms? Well, some people say that if you just fill this with nasty-ass food scraps from your kitchen, no citrus, but no meat, that's nasty, cheese, but, you know, your vegetables, lettuce, and carrot ends, and licorice tips, and whatever the hell else you have, that earthworms will come through those holes and take up residence in your bin. That was not my experience. My bin is full of a composting worm they call the red wiggler. If you have concerns that the red wiggler could become invasive in your area, I don't really have those concerns here where I live. I think they would freeze to death outside the confines of the bin, but you can wait for the earthworms to come along. But I use red wigglers. You can get them on the internet, or you can find a worm donor like me who might give you red wigglers. If you come to the compound, which I don't want you to, because I'm a social misfit. Anyway, so next step, we're going to take stuff from the old worm bin and put it in the new worm bin. Oh, the thrills. As I mentioned, I'm having problems, well, not problems, but I never get to harvest my dirt because I just keep adding more nasty food scraps to this one. So what I'm going to do is put a little dirt. You can't see anything in there. Now you can. Put a little dirt to start them off. And I'm going to take all these food scraps off the top. They're full of worms. Put them over here. Hopefully they live. Okay. Here we go. Have it. The old worm bin is mostly cleaned out. You can see there are a lot of eggshells in there. I would recommend going light on the eggshells because it takes a long ass time for them to decompose. But they are supposedly good for the dirt. So anyway, I'll have that to add to my garden beds. And then the worms over here in their new home. So I'll mostly add my new nasty ass vegetable scraps to this one. Use this one. Yada, yada, yada. Fun fact, vermiculture is what this is called. But it actually comes from a German term, which was vocal culture. And in the olden days, the 1600s, they used to feed offal to the peasants and harvest their night soil to grow the finest beets. So that's interesting. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can build yourself a worm bin or two. Bye.